And it appears Susan's still having trouble, so I think we'll just carry on. Susan, we're just going to carry on. You can hear us, so that's one good thing.
Susan, you can always just type in the chat if there's anything pressing, potentially, yeah.
All right. And if you think you've got it, just yell out or put your hand up. I'll see if we can hear you. Okay, everybody, we'll kick it off, the audit and risk meeting today. First of all, we'll start with the karakia. Mike's going to lead us off on that.
Mā taratara ki tai, ke I ake ana te atakura, e teo, e uka, e ohu, tuturu o witi wakamawa ki a tina, tina, hui, tāki.
Thank you very much. We have no apologies. As you can see, we've got a little bit of technical difficulties with Susan, but hopefully she'll come on in. So we'll go on to tab 5 tab 5 on page 5, which is the audit and risk meetings of 16th June. If anyone's got anything to bring up on that. All pretty. Everyone happy? Okay, well, we'll go back and confirmation of the minutes are on page 5. So we've got someone to move that, please. Craig, Neil, thank you very much. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Hence carried. Okay, now we'll go into the public transport update on page 10. And Cheryl is leading us off on that, I think. Mike, you haven't got anything? Yeah. Okay, so we'll just give her time to come to the table. Has everyone got their mics on? Sorry, I didn't. Mics on. Thank you, Cheryl.
Morena all, how are you? Look, I've just provided a bit of an update for you, mostly a wrap-up of last year. Just a report covering services, the network, some statistics and planning, and of course the challenges ahead. I'll take it as read, but of course always happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Has anyone got anything to bring up? Alan.
I have. Just one quick thing regarding the rebranding. I just wasn't too keen on the timing of it. Knowing that rates are going up a huge amount, the fares are going up also, and then we're also come out publicly and said it's another $50K to rebrand. I'm not unhappy with it. I'm happy with the timing of it. Probably would have been nice if it rolled out with the new services or something like that. It's probably out of the control of here. So just one comment with that. And the other one is with regards to the targeted rates as the means of offsetting increased operational costs. I think we've got to be very wary of our rates increases and what that's doing to our public. So I'd hate to see a lot more money being spent on public transport coming out of this rating system through the council.
Okay, well, number one.
Comment.
Oh, sorry, I'll let Mike talk then. Sorry. You answer number one question.
Sure,
I
was just going to add a couple of comments to both observations, Chair. Noting the comments on timing, I think it's fair to say we were a little bit surprised at the reaction, but fair comment noted for future. The second comment, what we're signalling there is that as we went through the regional passenger transport plan and LTPs and all the rest of it, and the single stage business case, we noted a 3-tier system of public transport, looking to move to bronze now, silver, and ultimately, should funding from various partners allow moving to gold. Now, there's basically the three sources of funding for public transport being fares, Waka Kotahi, TA's assistance program, and then last but not least is our targeted rates. So I guess what we're signalling there is that over time, as we move up through bronze, if we move to silver, if we move to gold, the local share will need to move up with those contributions from fares and from waka kotahi. So we're just signalling that's something we'll have to debate over the next few years.
Thank you. Because I also note that if we are moving up through those stages, that information and decision was going to come back to council, whether we did it or not, which was part of the discussion initially. Thank you.
Yes, it will be. Councillor McIntyre.
So on that, if volume of use goes up, does that mitigate the cost factor, or is it the more you use it, it's still going to cost more anyway?
Chair, as we move through bronze, silver, gold, what you're doing is effectively increasing the frequency of services and increasing the services in and around later in the evenings, weekend services, that sort of thing.
They'll be as a justification that the need is there.
Absolutely, Chair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If we're not seeing growth in patronage from the new range of services that we're introducing next year, then certainly the question about whether to move to silver and onto gold becomes very debatable.
All these debates will go on as we go through the systems. Councillor Walker.
I just note, of course, as Mike has already told us, that of this $50,000, $25,000 comes from an external source. It is unfortunate, I think, and agree, and I must confess that I've had a couple of people who've taken the trouble to phone me about this and complain. And I guess that with the cost of going to North Taranaki and so forth, also. So I guess it's just a little of a lesson to learn that it's a usually strange thing that big changes can make a big difference and pass the public without notice. But some relatively small matter may just suddenly pop up, and it's just a warning about those things.
Yeah, and saying that, I think we've been quite open with the public. I mean, we have fumed that we would look at this rebranding in previous meetings. So it's just that we've been quite open with the public and explaining what the rebranding will cost. But we did agree at the last meeting to carry on with it. So that's what Cheryl's been working away on the background. So yeah, no, take your point. Councillor.
Can I ask, that rebranding, is that a one-off? I mean, is that spent all at once, or is it spread over a period, because it's going to take a while to implement?
Through Chair, Cheryl might like to comment on that, but my understanding is that the 50K is for the design work, the consultation, the coming up with the brand, agreeing that. As we roll out the new services and the funding allows, then we'll rebrand those buses at that time. Do you want to add anything to that?
Correct through you, Chair. It's a new contract. There will be new buses on the fleet, so they'll take priority, and then slowly, as Mike said, as funding allows, we will slowly but surely get it done. It doesn't have to be done on day one.
And it's a wrap of the bus rather than a repaint or anything like that. It's not tens of thousands of dollars per bus or anything like that. It's a reasonably straightforward cost.
Okay, we've got any more questions? No, it appears not. I'll move the recommendation just to receive a note on page 10. Do I have a seconder? Alan, thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. It's carried. Susan, are you with us yet? No, you're not. Okay. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, we'll carry on. So we go now to tab 7 on page 15, the flood control scheme damage repair works, and Dan's going to enlighten us on that. Thank you. There is a report there that everyone's read. So,
Ata Maria tātou. 3rd and 4th of July brought quite a lot of rain. The river levels came up, which meant we ended up with some erosion on the Waiwakaiho and Tahua rivers, Stony rivers, about $350,000 worth of damage on the Waiwakaiho and about $50,000 on the Tahua. So we have around about a $15,000 budget for flood repairs. So we're asking to dip into our reserve, which currently sits at just under 1.4 million, which is of course the reason we have that reserve that builds up over time so that if and when we get flood damage, we can use that money rather than borrowing and increasing rates, etc. Happy to take questions.
Okay, Councillor Walker.
Yeah, firstly, it shows good provision in what you've done here, and it's the sort of emergency thing that has to be done. Just one sort of related question is that there seems to have been some really bad damage done to areas around Mangamingi and behind that area. I've been hearing about whole tracks falling down, fences collapsing and going, and even some small bridges being washed down. That's not something we would cover by this sort of expense, but what do you know about those sorts of areas? Seems like it was an unusual small areas, record amounts of rain.
Yeah, through you, Chair. So we know quite a lot about those areas. When we have a significant event like this, our land management officers are mobilised. They ring around and get reports back from landowners. We work closely with the district councils and civil defence to, I guess, ascertain what the damage is, how serious it is, what the needs are of the community, and within reason, working with those members of the community to provide advice and information about what they can do. A lot of the work that we do, of course, is around resilience and takes a long time. It's about the work that should have been done 20 years ago, if you like. The best time to plant a tree, as they say, was 50 years ago. But of course, there's a lot more that can be done to make those landscapes even more resilient. We, like I say, work closely with the district council, look at their needs in relation to particularly consenting, if there's any, or emergency works in relation to culverts and bridges. And during the event, we're monitoring water levels. So the Waitotara River came up quite significantly as well. And we were keeping a close eye on that and informing civil defence during the event.
I think it was the Tongahoi that was the big issue down at our.
Yeah, the Tongahoi, that came up big time. There was roads, etc., that were damaged. The difference between the Tongahoi and the Waitotara is, of course, the township of Waitotara that has flooded frequently just this century alone. And water levels were within probably 1 or 2 metres of the township.
Very unkind people here have said to me that there have been 6 major floods since 1860 in Waitotara, and I remember them all.
Okay.
That's kind.
Kia ora, Tom.
You've forgotten most of them, would be even worse.
Thanks. Kia ora, Dan. I was really surprised to see it was only 15,000 in the budget, and instead of dipping into reserves, you're not upping the budget and not putting so much into reserves, if that's the reality of what we know are ongoing weather events. That's my first question.
Yeah, through you, Chair. So the Rivers budget for maintenance, etc., is between $100,000 and $200,000 per annum.
Right.
And that particular line item is just for storm event damage. So normally the work that we do, the majority of the time, the majority of the money we spend is on maintenance. So this is over and above that maintenance, if you like.
Okay.
The reserves have been building up. In the past, we've probably underspent on that budget, and that's okay, which has meant that the reserves have built up. We're probably spending more and more of that budget as costs have increased, particularly around some of those general maintenance costs like mowing. Those mowing costs have gone from, when I was the Rivers manager, we contributed at about $15,000 a year. Now they're about $50,000 a year. So that's chewing significantly into our budgets, which means that the amount that we're putting into reserves is less each year compared to what it used to be. Right. But most years we wouldn't need to spend anywhere near this type of money on damage or on flood repair work. So it is a contingency, and normally we would just spend it towards the end of the year, that $15,000 on maintenance as required.
Okay, so it's still the exception rather than the rule, then you're having to dip in.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay,
this is the most we've spent on flood repairs since I've been at TRC, which I arrived here in 2015, so 10 years.
Awesome. Yep. Okay, thank you.
You have another question?
And I just did have another question, noting Tā Whirikura Hapu was, I think the wording was advised or informed, and noting too that that's my hapu as well. at what point do we get hapu involved or iwi involved in these things? Is it after the work has started? Are we right at the outset notifying when we know there's an issue so that they can be involved in the conversation, or are we doing end of process kind of, this is what happened, this is what we've done, we're telling you now kind of thing?
Through you, Chair, excellent question. So we have a pretty active relationship with the hapu, in terms of day-to-day management of the awa. With this particular event, we needed to get in straight away because we knew that the weather forecast was for more heavy rain a week later. So we did some immediate work straight away to shore up the bank because it's very close to the stop bank. It could have undermined the stop bank, resulting in a catastrophic failure of the stop bank and threatening the shopping centre there. Yeah. So we let Fish and Game and the hapu know straight away, and they were fully supportive of the work needing to be done.
Thank you.
Donald, do you have a question?
Yeah, part of that was Benita's one, but that 1.3, 1.4 mil that's in the reserve, where do you think it is a comfortable spot for it to be? Is that it, or is it higher or lower? Yeah,
it's a really good question, and historically we've said probably around $1 million is appropriate, but it has been higher than that, and we've, as you know, we used some of that money for the upgrading of the stop banks that we completed not so long ago to raise the level. Based on the costs of these particular jobs, I'm actually thinking that maybe $1 million is probably the lowest we want to get it to, perhaps, but that's certainly something that we'll need to look into and have a bit of a discussion about, and also see how it tracks over time. If we had another event like this, then suddenly we would be down significantly below $1 million, but it might be that we don't have another event like this for 10 or 20 years, so it would potentially build the reserves up again. So I think we don't want to have any knee-jerk reactions, but certainly something we want to look closely at and potentially respond to if we need to.
Or we could have another event like this in two months. So
there could easily be another one, yep, next week. Even we've got rain forecast now, it could happen this week. Yeah. I don't think it will, touch wood.
Okay.
and just further,
you got another question?
Yes. Okay. The areas that have failed this time round, were they not foreseen when the topping of the flood walls and that were done, or is this? Can we foresee some of these things a little more than we do? Or?
So this area on the Waiwakaio was an area that we were aware of that had active erosion and was on our schedule of work to do. The erosion wasn't significant, and in our professional opinion, we considered that even during a significant event, it wouldn't threaten the stop bank, and that's exactly what happened. It didn't threaten the stop bank. It did get worse. So what we've done is we've brought that repair forward. A piece of work that we would have done anyway. We had scheduled to do anyway. It wouldn't have made any difference in terms of timing it with the stop bank upgrade because it's quite different work. It's earthworks versus rock work. So in terms of efficiencies of scale, etc., you wouldn't have got anything out of it by doing it at the same time.
Are we sitting on other projects like that you know of?
No, that's the only one, yeah. And it's been like an area where it's very unusual because it's actually on the inside of a bend. Normally erosion occurs on the outside of a bend. So the fact that it's actually eroding probably because there's an old clean fill site there, so concrete and gravel and bits of steel, so it's not contaminants at all, which means that it's a bit looser than it should be. But like I say, we've been monitoring it. It's been pretty stable, but now it's just accelerated the need to get in there and do the work. Yeah.
Did you get a gauge on the new work you've done that didn't look threatened at all or anything?
We were monitoring it during the event, and the next day it was exactly the same as what it had been the day prior to the flood, so it didn't erode at all anymore.
But the topic of work didn't get challenged, I suppose, get higher up.
It did. It got well above the rock, but normally erosion occurs at the toe. That's generally where it happens first. It undermines the toe, and then everything else falls in.
Didn't get up stop bank.
Oh no, the stop bank during the 4th and 5th, there was a little bit of water on the toe of the stop bank only, so it didn't really test the stop banks at all, no.
Dan, with the report, I take it that the Stony River is the works all below the Stony River Bridge.
State
What about
Highway.
where it broke out at the, is it Kaihihi stream, where it went across land and broke into the other stream? What are we doing about that? Because that build-up up there seems to be going to be more of a regular occurrence going in. Is it Kaihihi?
So it's not, the Kaihihi breakout occurred upstream of the
Yes,
State Highway
that's right.
45 bridge, which is different to this area that we're talking about now. So all of the banks that were put in back in post-2008 flood are intact and haven't been damaged at all, so they're totally fine. This is the bit downstream of State Highway 45 where there's the sharp bend. So there's the house there.
And what preventative are we doing to stop the breakout to Kaihihi? It is the Kaihihi stream, isn't it?
Well, we've done that work. That work was completed well
But it
over a
broke
decade
out this
ago.
time.
No, it didn't. No, there was overtopping of the Kaihihi stream, but the work that was done was when the Stony River broke out, went down Kaihihi Road and then into the Kaihihi stream. The work has been completed years ago to stop that from happening again, and that's still intact.
Okay, my next question is, Neil thinks he's the only one with a memory, but I've got one too. We were having some discussion with the Transport Agency many years ago about the bridge channel and what can be done about that. Is there any way that we can go back to the Transport Agency and seek some funding? Seeing a lot of that is because of that coming through that channel, the washout and the force and ferocity that it's going through that channel. Because we did have some discussions many years ago with them about the bridge and the sighting and the damage caused because of the bridge. Has there been any discussion or likely to be any discussion with them? I was just thinking perhaps a little bit of funding coming back or what their long-term plan is with the bridge.
Yeah, so look, I mean, we can ask the question, to be honest with you. There's two things there. One is that nationally people have been asking the Transport Agency for a long, long time to contribute to flood and erosion control schemes, and every single time the answer has been no. The other thing is that the bridge is actually built probably on what's a natural gorge, so even if the bridge wasn't there, that narrow rock would probably be as it is without the bridge anyway. That's why the bridge is there, because it's a narrow, rocky gorge, if you like. So it's probably not the bridge that's causing the problem, it's the actual natural channel, the natural landscape that's resulting in that narrowness.
I'm sure we can make a compelling case and try. Can we ask for that to sort of just look into?
Well, what might be a better option would potentially be to tap into the before the deluge funding that central government is contributing towards flood schemes around the country. We didn't have any of that or a requirement for any of that in the past because all of our schemes are in pretty good shape, but potentially we could apply for some money to do some work there to strengthen it or bolster it to make it even stronger than what it currently is.
Okay, before I go, yeah, Steve, you were.
I was going to say, if it's a problem with the bridge, it should be picking up through the regional transport plan as well. Because what you're saying is what you're suggesting, although I'm hearing slightly different from Dan, is the bridge isn't up to capacity. It isn't big enough, which is a bridge upgrade issue from a security of supply, security of route issue. Is the only time which should be in regional and transport plan.
Can I
Through
then
you.
suggest if I can take this offline and just have a discussion with the two of you, because I think there's some history about it. So can I
Yeah,
take it
no,
offline
that's
and have a
fine.
little discussion?
I was just going to say through you, Chair, that I'd say that the banks would overtop and the water would go over the road before it actually threatened the bridge. Yep.
Okay, I'll have a discussion offline with that. Just one other thing before I move into recommendations. Would it be possible to arrange to do a visit of our flood protection areas, Waikato, Waitara, Stony, etc., just to do a visit? We had one years ago. I think it'd be good for the new committee coming in to actually have a look at those schemes at some stage, if possible.
We can certainly pick it up in the induction program. We did one this
We did it
triennium.
this time.
Pretty few and far between is the challenge. Yep.
We did do it.
Yeah.
Came on as new councillor.
But we didn't do the visit to the river flood protection, did we?
We did all
We
open
have
that.
done, we have done
We
one.
have years ago, but not.
No, we,
Quite
through
true.
you,
Anyway,
there's
just,
one recently,
just
yeah.
offline again, if you can just look into it and
Yeah,
come
yeah.
back to me or something and see what you think. Okay, so the recommendations are on page 15, 16. I'll move. Do we have a seconder? Neil, thank you. All those in favour say aye. Thank you. And still haven't got Susan. Sorry about that, Susan. Oh, she is. Oh, God,
How exciting!
that's a shame. I'm just getting you back from a thing you did earlier. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, which is on page 22, and ask Bronwyn to come to the table for the health and safety report, please. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl.
Good morning, everyone. I will take the Health, Safety and Wellness report for July 2025 as read. The main points to note are we're now obviously in a new financial year, so there's a new plan of work being operationalised now alongside strategy, and also just noting that we, based on the last feedback given from the council, we went a little bit deeper into some incident management around vehicles for you. So, any questions?
Okay, anyone got any questions? We've all read the report. Donald.
Just a point of clarification, I suppose. Page 26, you're talking about kilometres travelled and driving hours. You're saying 200 hours per day. It seems quite excessive for the, how many field staff have we got?
Good question. I'm not sure of the actual number of field staff right now. I can come back to you.
I would have thought 100 sort of field staff,
Yeah.
10 hours a day, so.
Yeah, so
Chair.
it is a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Chair, no, you're well on the light side. We've got a fleet that's coming up, getting close to 100 vehicles. So you're on the light side.
Okay, is there any other questions? It's a well-covered report, so thank you for that, Bronwyn. So we do have one. There has to be one, doesn't there?
There's always one. Kia ora, Bronwyn. Thank you. Just query, and maybe regarding a lot of the stuff that's covered in the HSNE report generally, are councillors considered in any of these sorts of reporting mechanisms? Like, you know, when we're coming to council meetings or we're out on council business, does any of that get tracked in any of this reporting?
Through you, Chair, that's an excellent question. It's an area that we are looking into more and more at the moment, given that we will have an opportunity to potentially readdress some of this with the new council. There are a number of areas that we've highlighted that could be looked into a little bit further, but we'll cover that with the new council as they come on board. But no, it's an excellent question. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Sorry.
But just to follow up with that, do you know the difference or the mileages that are work-related and private-related with regards to vehicles? Do you get that sort of information?
We can break it out, absolutely, because we can do it through the e-road system. But if someone is given a vehicle for work purposes, we class that as part of their work process. Yeah. Because sometimes
you'll answer that's not private.
So, Chair, there's absolutely no private uses is permitted on the white fleet vehicles without prior written approval. So, it'd be less than 0.000
Yes.
something.
Okay.
To and from work only.
Absolutely.
And that's and the garage for nothing as well. Secure. Okay, is there any other questions? Thank you, Bronwyn. A good report.
Thank you.
Do I have a mover and a seconder? Donald?
So moved.
Benita, thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you, Bronwyn.
Kia ora.
Now we go on to tab 9, which is on page 29. And Mike, you're Amy. Yeah. Sitting there waiting in anticipation. I lost you. I couldn't see you.
So whilst Amy's coming to the table, Chair, so this is the final monthly management report of last financial year, and later on the agenda and the public excluded, you've got the first consideration of the draft annual report. So we're in that phase of the year.
Sorry, I've got 3 agenda items, so I was just clarifying we're up to the May report.
We are indeed, Amy.
Okay. Moderator, councillors. Yes, so we've got the May monthly financial and operational report. I guess the main thing to call out there just is in regards to the underspend on the budget for the financial year to date and where we expect that to end up at the end of June. Happy to take any specific questions on the May report.
Just on page 39, the state of environment monitoring, you're saying you deferred recruitment, and that's given your budget unfunded, amongst other things. Does that mean we're not delivering on that service like we should, or?
So I guess with some of those contracts where there has been a delay in that being undertaken, then yes, we have deferred recruitment or of external contracts until such time as that takes place.
So Chair, might I just add, in the State of the Environment Monitoring Program, you're dealing with a 5-year program. Yeah. So there's a certain amount of give and take throughout that 5 years that allows you to do that. The monitoring and the analysis and subsequently the reporting. So whilst there's ups and downs at some parts of that period, we catch up. We're not noting in our operational reporting in terms of the annual report, we're not noting that we haven't met that level of service.
Because I see that sort of does come up in some of the other, not necessarily state of the environment, but probably consent inspection type stuff is, yeah, that we're still meeting our share of the obligations regarding consent monitoring.
Chair, staff turnover is an inevitability in any business, and what we find is that there's an element of prioritisation of workloads. There's an element of people putting in a few extra hours to cover for short periods of time and all the rest of it. So, and we've got a very, professional, dedicated staff. So they pick up those slacks or periods where there's not enough resources. They'll pick them up and then they'll take a break later on. So, yeah.
Okay. Any further questions?
Yes, just a quick one on age data analysis, which you've got here.
Sure.
Firstly, just explaining, it seems a very large current balance, which probably is a very good reason why it's so big, but maybe you'd like to answer that. And the other one is just to notice that there's still 3 individuals who owe about $230,000.
Yep, so through you, Chair, our invoice to the 3 district councils for our rates has gone through at that time, and that makes up that significant portion of the $7 million there. Yes, we are actively managing the aged debtors, and of that 232, a third of that is made up with those at prosecution on the Department of Courts, and there are the remainder being actively managed through debt management. So, actively being pursued.
Those last 3, are they going to be?
Chair, it's 3%, not 3 people.
Yeah. Oh, like that.
At this time of the year, as we go into our annual report, we do a full review of all outstanding debtors for impairment and write-off. And I haven't seen anything of any significance coming across my desk. So.
All right, so no one's got any more discussion. Neil, would you like to move? Yes. Craig? All right, and note the digital media update as well. So all those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. We'll go now to item 10, which is on page 56, Council Controlled Organisation Statement of Intent.
Chair, this is just completing the loop. Earlier in the year, you received and considered draft statements of intent from the Taranaki Stadium Trust and Regional Software Holdings Limited. You provided feedback, and those statements of intent have been finalised. We have an obligation to adopt them now and put them on our website, or receive them and put them on our website. So,
okay, unless
way.
Anyone's got any further comments to make, I think that's probably just a fait accompli. So, okay, Donald and Benita. All those in favour say aye. It's carried. Okay, so now we'll go on to the page 113, Port Taranaki Statement of Corporate Intent, 1st of July, 30th of June 28. So Mike, I think will take us through that.
Chair, Amy's done the work on this particular piece of work, so I'll let her take the council through this, but it is just that time of year we're considering their draft statement of intent.
Yes, so as Mike said, the corporate statement of intent from July 25 to June 28 for the port. Happy to speak to any of the highlighted key differences between the 25-27 or the dividend outlook, or any other questions you may have.
Okay, this is just normal practice, but has anyone got any comments to make? I might just be guided here. I just don't like the word fair on page 116. What is fair? A fair dividend, a fair employer. Fair to whom? Fair to what? And whether there should be a bit more base to that. It sort of covers a more appropriate on page 117, more appropriate return to the shareholders' investment. I just worry about that word fair. And I just wondered if anyone else has come up with something or whether agree.
The evaluation of the word fair is poor.
Well, I just think it's debatable. I don't know. I just sort of just question that word fair.
Mr. Chair, as you'll know under the Companies Act, directors have very specific obligations they have to meet before they declare a dividend, including protecting the liquidity of the company. And they have, and it's footnoted there, a reference to some of the factors that are covered in their very explicit dividend policy, which I think from memory has been presented to this council in the past, where they have a policy that very clearly drives the need to protect not only their operating results, but also their future capital projections, including what is BAU replacement CapEx versus new growth CapEx. So there is quite a structured policy that the company has in place that has regard, which I recall I covered in the report that I presented to this council about 18 months ago while Mr. Neild was away on leave, that covered that policy and the framework they use for determining their dividends in it. So there is a structured policy there that sits underneath the use of the word fair, which is briefly referenced in that footnote. And it would be worthwhile, and in fact, if you gave me a couple of minutes, I'm sure I could probably locate that report that came to the council covering this issue back. I'm just trying to think when you had that trip to...
2 years ago now.
2 years ago now. So about...
would have been the June-July Executive Board and Risk Committee meeting.
Of 23.
Chair, both sets of comments are accurate, and fair is probably a marginally loose word, but there are statutory and strategic obligations that on the port. I'm very happy to provide a little bit of feedback to them, use a better word than fair.
Doesn't fair often mean in these circumstances that the thing is hard to judge exactly, but they've looked at this and decided that's a reasonable thing?
Not in the dictionary.
Chair, I think what you...
Just one moment. Yeah. Can I take Susan's before you, Mike? Susan.
I mean, fair is a word that's used in any number of legal documents, and it requires balance. I mean, it's absolutely the right word in this context.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to make a big thing of it. I just sort of questioned the word fair, that's all. And it sort of has different meanings in the dictionary.
And I'm happy to move this matter, but just I guess we'll be having a visit from the directors again at some stage in the future when we can look forward as well as looking at these sorts of issues.
Chair, we're in discussions with port directors and management and looking at a two-prong approach. hopefully doing something at the September ordinary meeting dealing with their annual report, so looking backwards, but in post the election with the new council, an opportunity to look forward in terms of strategic directions.
Yep. Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we'll leave it there then. I just wanted to test that out, that's all. So the recommendations are on page 113. I don't mind moving, and Neil was going to second, I think. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Okay, now we'll move into public excluded on page 124. Benita will move and Alan will second. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Right, we'll go to tab 14.
Just wait for the live.
We just need to kill the live
Oh, sorry.
feed, Chair.
I'm racing through here.
Yes, you are.